You know what drives me absolutely insane? Watching people work their tails off for decades, saving every spare dollar, only to realize they've been playing the game on hard mode this entire time. And here's the kicker, doubling your money isn't some mystical dark art reserved for Wall Street insiders or people who got lucky with cryptocurrency. It's pure mathematics. Beautiful, predictable, boring mathematics that's been working the same way since 1494. Albert Einstein, yeah, that Einstein, supposedly called the Rule of 72 more important than his theory of relativity. Now, I can't verify if he actually said that, but the sentiment hits different when you realize this simple calculation has been creating millionaires while most people are still Googling how to get rich quick at 2 a.m. Hi, I'm Matt, and on this channel, I break down real financial strategies that actually work. If your money is sitting in accounts earning basically nothing, hit that subscribe button, because today I'm showing you the exact formula for doubling your money, not in 40 years, but strategically and fast. Here's what nobody tells you about money. The difference between staying broke and building serious wealth isn't about making more. It's about making your money work harder than you do. Right now, as you're watching this video, your money is either growing or dying. There's no middle ground. Inflation in September 2025 hit 3%. That means if your money isn't earning at least 3%, you're actively losing purchasing power every single day. Your future self is getting poorer while you sleep. Let me paint you a picture. There's a person out there right now, maybe it's you, who's got $5,000 sitting in a regular savings account at one of the big banks. They feel responsible, smart even, because hey, at least they're saving, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. That account is earning them 0.4% annual interest. You know what that means? In 72 years, their $5,000 will magically become, wait for it, $10,000. Congratulations, you'll be dead by the time your money doubles and your great-grandkids can enjoy that extra $5,000 at your funeral. But here's where it gets interesting. That same $5,000 placed strategically can double in 7 years. Not 72, 7. That's the difference between understanding the Rule of 72 and wandering through financial fog. The Rule of 72 is stupidly simple, which is exactly why most people ignore it. You take 72 and divide it by your interest rate or return, and boom, that's how many years until your money doubles. Earning 5%, 72 divided by 5 equals 14.4 years. Earning 10%, 7.2 years. This isn't rocket science, but it might as well be given how few people actually use it. Here's what blows my mind. This rule came from a book published in 1494 by Luca Pacioli, the father of accounting. While everyone else was still figuring out basic arithmetic, this guy mapped out the mathematical certainty of compound growth. 530 years later, and most people still haven't gotten the memo. Let's talk about the biggest financial scam that nobody's calling a scam. Traditional savings accounts. Right now, the national average for savings accounts is 0.4% APY. Not 4%, 0.4. But inflation is sitting at 3%. Do the math. You're losing 2.6% of your purchasing power annually just by being responsible with a savings account. Here's the reality check nobody wants to hear. Keeping money in a traditional savings account is financial self-sabotage dressed up as prudence. I'm not saying don't have savings. I'm saying park them somewhere that doesn't actively destroy your wealth. High-yield savings accounts are earning 4 to 5% right now. Some are even hitting 5% APY. That's more than 10 times the national average. Using the Rule of 72, money in a 5% account doubles in 14.4 years. Money in a 0.4% account, 180 years. Your great-great-great-grandkids might see those gains. Maybe. But here's where the mess-up happens. People think 0.4 versus 5% doesn't matter because it's only a few percentage points. Wrong. Over time, those percentage points become the difference between retirement and working until you die. Compound interest doesn't care about your excuses. It just compounds, either in your favor or against it. Most people don't even know high-yield accounts exist. They're stuck with whatever their local branch offers because that's where their parents banked. It's time to break that cycle. Now we're getting into the good stuff, where your money stops crawling and starts sprinting. Savings accounts are your foundation. They're safe, liquid, boring, and necessary for emergencies. But if you want to actually build wealth, if you want to see your money double in years, not decades, you need to understand investment returns. The S&P 500, which is basically a collection of the 500 biggest companies in America, has historically returned about 10% annually. 10%. Using our rule of 72, that means money invested in an S&P 500 index fund doubles every 7.2 years. Not theoretical, not hypothetical, historical reality. Let me walk you through what this looks like in practice. You're 25 years old. You invest $5,000 in an S&P 500 index fund and never touch it. At age 32, it's $10,000. Age 39, $20,000. Age 46, $40,000. Age 53, $80,000. Age 60, $160,000. Age 67, $320,000. From one $5,000 investment when you were 25. That's 6 doublings over 42 years, and suddenly you've got serious retirement money. But most people don't do this. You know why? Because they're scared of the stock market. They saw their parents panic during 2008. They heard horror stories about people losing everything. They think investing is gambling. It's not gambling if you understand what you're doing. Here's the truth. The stock market goes up and down, sometimes violently. In 2022, the S&P 500 dropped 18%. People freaked out, sold everything, locked in their losses. But by the end of 2024, the market had roared back with a 25% return. And through September 2025, it's up another 13%. The people who stayed invested not only recovered, they're crushing it. The people who panic sold are still sitting in cash, traumatized, and broke. This is where the rule of 72 becomes your psychological anchor. When markets drop 20% and everyone's screaming about crashes, you remember the math. Over time, the market averages 10%. Some years you'll get 30%, some years you'll lose 15%, but the long-term trend has been up for literally a century. Betting against that is betting against human innovation, productivity, and capitalism itself. Now, 10% is the average, which means there are ways to potentially do better. Small cap stocks have historically returned about 12% annually. That's a 6-year doubling time. Real estate investment trusts, REITs, have periods where they've crushed those numbers. High-growth tech stocks can double in months if you pick right, though they can also crater just as fast. But here's my take. Most people shouldn't be trying to beat the market. They should be trying to match it. An S&P 500 index fund is boring, reliable, and historically unbeatable by about 90% of professional money managers. You're not smarter than the market, neither am I, neither are they. So why pay someone 2% annually to underperform what you could have gotten for free? The magic isn't in finding the next Tesla or Bitcoin. The magic is in starting early and staying consistent. $500 a month into an index fund at 10% growth, run that through the rule of 72, and watch what happens over 30 years. Your contributions compound on top of returns. Returns compound on top of previous returns. It snowballs. All right, let's talk about the silent killer of wealth, inflation. Right now, we're sitting at 3% annual inflation. That might not sound like much, but using the rule of 72, that means the cost of everything doubles every 24 years. The coffee that costs $5 today will cost $10 in 24 years. Your grocery bill, rent, healthcare, all doubling. Which means if your money isn't at least keeping pace with inflation, you're on a treadmill going backwards. And most people are. They've got money in checking accounts earning 0, savings accounts earning 0.4%. Meanwhile, inflation is running at 3%, which means they're losing 2.6% of purchasing power every single year. Let me make this crystal clear with a real-world example. In 1990, the median home price in America was about $126,000. Today, it's over $400,000. That's a tripling in 35 years. Your grandparents could buy a house for what you pay for a decent car. Why? Inflation. The dollar you're holding today is worth less than the dollar from last year, which was worth less than the dollar from the year before. This is why cash is trash for long-term wealth. I'm not saying don't have an emergency fund. You absolutely should. But everything beyond 6 months of expenses sitting in cash is actively eroding in value. The wealthy understand this. That's why they park money in assets, stocks, real estate, businesses, things that appreciate faster than inflation. Here's the brutal math. If you saved $100,000 in 1995 and stuffed it under your mattress, you'd still have $100,000, but the purchasing power of that money has been cut in half. It would take $200,000 today to buy what $100,000 bought in 1995. You didn't lose money on paper. You lost it in reality. The rule of 72 works both ways. It can show you how fast your investments double, but it also shows you how fast inflation cuts your money in half. At 3% inflation, your purchasing power halves every 24 years. At 6%, which we saw in 2021, it halves every 12 years. During the 1970s, when inflation hit double digits, purchasing power was getting demolished every 7 years. This is why investment returns matter. You're not trying to get rich. You're trying not to get poor. A 5% high-yield savings account barely beats 3% inflation. A 10% stock market return actually builds real wealth. A 0.4% savings account is financial suicide. People ask me all the time, should I pay off my mortgage or invest? And the answer depends entirely on the math. If your mortgage is at 3% and you can earn 10% in the market, you invest. If your mortgage is at 7% and you can earn 10%, it gets murkier, but you probably still invest because of the tax advantages and compound growth. The rule of 72 cuts through the emotional noise and gives you cold, hard numbers.
Here's where everything clicks together. Compound interest is the actual cheat code to wealth, and the rule of 72 is how you measure it. Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, pay it. Let me show you two scenarios that will blow your mind. Person A starts investing $1,000 a month at age 25 in an account earning 10%. They do this for 10 years, then stop completely. Person B waits until age 35 to start, then invests $1,000 a month at 10% for 30 years straight. Person A invested $120,000 total dollars over 10 years, then let it compound for 30 years without adding another dime. Person B invested $360,000 over 30 years. Who ends up with more? Person A, by a landslide. Person A ends up with about $2.2 million. Person B ends up with about $1.8 million. Person A invested 1/3 the money and ended up with more because they had time on their side. Those extra 10 years of compound growth in the beginning made all the difference. This is the rule of 72 in action. Person A's money doubled at age 32, 39, 46, 53, 60, and partially through another doubling by 65. 6 full doublings. Person B's money started doubling later and had fewer cycles to compound. Time beats money every single time. The tragic part? Most people are person B. They spend their 20s and 30s thinking they'll get serious about money later. Then later comes and they realize they missed the most valuable years. You can't buy back time. You can't restart the compound clock. The best time to start investing was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. Compound interest doesn't care about your intentions. It doesn't care that you were busy or didn't understand or were paying off student loans. It just compounds. Either you're on the winning side of that equation or the losing side. Here's another mind bender. Retirement accounts. A Roth IRA or 401k isn't just a tax-advantaged account. It's a compound growth accelerator. You're investing pre-tax or tax-free money, which means every dollar goes further. And because you're not losing 30% to taxes up front, you're compounding on a bigger base. Let's say you're in the 22% tax bracket and you invest $10,000 in a traditional 401k. That full $10,000 goes to work immediately. In a taxable account, you'd only invest $7,800 after taxes. Over 30 years at 10%, that extra $2,200 compounding makes a massive difference. The rule of 72 amplifies this advantage with every doubling cycle. But most people don't max out their retirement accounts. They contribute just enough to get the employer match, then stop. That's leaving free money on the table. If your employer matches 3% and you're only contributing 3%, you're getting a 100% instant return on that contribution. Show me another investment with guaranteed 100% returns. I'll wait. The wealthy aren't smarter than you. They just understand this math and act on it earlier. They max out retirement accounts. They open taxable brokerage accounts once those are full.
They understand that every dollar invested today becomes multiple dollars tomorrow through the miracle of compound growth. So here's what you do right now. Not tomorrow, not after you finish this video, but right now. Pull out your phone and check where your money is sitting. Is it in a checking account earning nothing? Traditional savings at 0.4%? Good. That's your wake-up call. Step 1. Move your emergency fund to a high-yield savings account. Voro, Newtek, Axos, there are banks paying 5% APY right now. That's 12 times better than the national average. Set up the account tonight. Transfer the money tomorrow. Your emergency fund should be 3 to 6 months of expenses. That money needs to be accessible, but it should at least be keeping pace with inflation while it sits there. Step 2. Open a Roth IRA if you're eligible, or a traditional IRA if you're not. Max it out if possible. The limit is $7,000 for 2025 if you're under 50. Can't max it? Contribute what you can. $500 a month is $6,000 a year. At 10% returns, that doubles every 7 years. One doubling puts you at $12,000. Two doublings is $24,000. Three doublings is $48,000. That's from just 1 year of contributions. Step 3. If you have a 401k with an employer match, contribute at least enough to get the full match. That's free money. Then work toward maxing the annual limit, which is $23,000 for 2025 if you're under 50. I know, that sounds impossible. Start with 10% of your income and increase it 1% every year. You won't miss the money, but your future self will thank you. Step 4. Once retirement accounts are maxed, open a taxable brokerage account. Invest in low-cost S&P 500 index funds. No fancy stock picking, no trying to time the market, just consistent, boring wealth building through proven index funds. Set up automatic monthly contributions so you're not tempted to spend that money elsewhere. Step 5. Use the rule of 72 as your reality check. Whatever you're investing in, divide 72 by the expected return and ask yourself if you can wait that long. If the answer is yes, you're golden. If no, you need higher returns or a different strategy. Here's what this looks like in practice. Let's say you're 30 years old with $20,000 saved. You put $10,000 in a high-yield savings account at 5% as your emergency fund. That doubles in 14.4 years to $20,000 by age 44. Not exciting, but safe and liquid. The other $10,000 goes into an S&P 500 index fund in your Roth IRA, earning 10% annually. That doubles every 7.2 years. By age 37, it's $20,000. Age 44, $40,000. Age 51, $80,000. Age 58, $160,000. Age 65, $320,000. And that's just from the initial $10,000 investment, not counting any additional contributions. But you're not stopping there. You're also contributing $5,000 a year to that Roth IRA. Over 35 years, those contributions plus compound growth at 10% give you well over $1 million from modest, consistent investing. The mistake people make is thinking they need to be perfect. They need to invest every dollar optimally from day one. Wrong. You need to start. Start messy. Start small. Start scared. But start, because the rule of 72 doesn't reward perfection, it rewards time. And every month you wait is a month of compound growth you'll never get back. Some of you are sitting there thinking, but about debt? Fair question. If you've got credit card debt at 18%, pay that off first. Using the rule of 72, that debt doubles in 4 years. Every dollar you owe becomes $2 in 4 years. That's horrifying. Kill that debt immediately. But student loans at 4%, car loans at 5%, you can invest while paying those down because your investment returns will outpace the interest. This isn't complicated. It's just math. The rule of 72 has been working since 1494, and it'll be working long after we're all dead. The question isn't whether it works. The question is whether you're going to use it. Look, I get it. Personal finance feels overwhelming. There's a million opinions, a million strategies, a million gurus telling you their way is the only way. But strip away all the noise and you're left with simple truth. Compound interest plus time equals wealth. That's it. That's the whole game. Every day you wait is a day your money could have been doubling. Every month you keep cash in a checking account is a month inflation eats your purchasing power. Every year you postpone investing is a year you'll never get back. The math doesn't lie. The rule of 72 doesn't care about your excuses. So what's it going to be?
Are you going to be the person who discovers this video, nods along, then changes nothing? Or are you going to be the person who actually does something about it? Because I promise you, 5 years from now, when your friends are still complaining about money while you're watching your investments double, you'll remember this moment as the turning point.